Communities United Against Police Brutality's End of Year Review 2022. You can find our newsletter on our website, CUAPB.org, or social media. We started CUAPB in December of 2000 with the vision of an organization that would take on police brutality, misconduct, and abuse of authority on a consistent basis. Our president, Michelle Gross, goes over the past year of work that CUAPB has done in the community, legislature, post-board, and in the courts. For the first time in our 22 years, we hired our first full-time staff member. CUAPB started a litigation unit and hired Paul Bossman as our chief counsel. We have 5 smooth stones, and we hunt giants. Marcus Golden was killed by the St. Paul Police Department on a snowy night over 7 years ago. CUAPB's reinvestigation work group has spent over a year working on his case. It seemed like there would be no justice for Marcus until this last December of 2021. Normally, once 3 years have passed, claims for a wrongful death expire, but last year an attorney associated with the Stolen Lives Justice Fund asked the federal magistrate judge to allow a claim for wrongful death on Marcus's 7-year-old claim, under an exception that allows claims for a death caused by intentional act constituting murder. The magistrate judge granted the motion to add the wrongful death claim. This has never been done before. Marcus's fight was not the only stolen life that the litigation unit fought for this year. CUAPB had a victory in the case of Travis Jordan. The judge denied qualified immunity to the officer in Travis Jordan's case for the last 4 of 7 shots he fired at Travis, shots that were fired after Travis had fallen to the ground and dropped the kitchen knife. Another area that the litigation unit fights to get access to is government information about police misconduct. When a community member is killed by police violence, CUAPB goes into immediate action. Often, President Michelle Gross makes contact with the family of the stolen life and helps to coach them through the contacts they will have with both government and media while helping to support them. Board member Dave Bicking sends a request under the Minnesota Data Practices Act, requesting the information that the law requires the police to make public at all times when someone is deprived of their liberty. The litigation unit prepares a civil lawsuit and a motion for emergency relief to ask the courts to force the agency to release the data. If it isn't released, CUAPB files the suit. CUAPB's reinvestigation work group goes into action as soon as initial data is released. CUAPB's members are in the streets shouting the names of stolen lives. We fight for names like Charles Bangs, a stolen life. We are fighting for the release of the video of his killing at the hands of the State Patrol and Otter Tail County Sheriff. Amir Locke, Tekle Sundberg, and Howard Johnson's killings, where cities will only release small snippets of footage to blunt the public outrage following the killing of yet another young Black man by law enforcement. Our mental health work group came about because between November and December of 2018, 5 people experiencing mental health crises were killed during encounters with law enforcement. We wrote a white paper researching the best ways on ending police-only responses to mental health crises. In 2021, we took our fight to the legislature with Travis's Law, Minnesota Statute 403.03, which requires 911 call centers to send mental health crisis teams instead of police to mental health crisis calls. We are proud this bill became law on August 21st, 2021. This past year, we held workshops and had advertising campaigns to educate county staff and community members about this new law. The reinvestigation work group had done earlier reports on police killings, but after the killing of Thurman Blevins by MPD in 2018, the work group was officially formed to help families learn the truth of what happened to their loved ones and get justice. Families are rarely told what truly happened in their loved ones' final moments. The reality is, these cases are time-consuming and costly. We spend over a year reinvestigating and raising enough money to hire experts and file a wrongful death suit, if possible. Our overarching goal as a work group is to get the authentic narrative out to the public. For every police killing, there is a conventional narrative that is spread by the police and the county attorney to avoid holding law enforcement officers accountable. As Ida B. Wells said, the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. CUAPB began canvassing Minneapolis streets in July of 2021. Shortly after, the U.S. Department of Justice announced their investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department for a pattern and practice of excessive use of force and discriminatory policing. The past summer, canvassers concentrated on certain neighborhoods and streets in Minneapolis, where people were more likely to have had experiences with MPD. We collected over 2,300 community testimonials. CUAPB's DOJ work group is working on a People's Consent Decree. CUAPB sued Minneapolis City Council over the PCOC appointments. Two longtime members of CUAPB, Dave Bicking and Emma Peterson, filed a writ of mandamus in September against the Minneapolis City Council for failing to make appointments to the Civilian Advisory Board of the Minneapolis Police Department. CUAPB board members Michelle Gross and Dave Bicking sat on the Post Rules Advisory Committee since October 2020. In 2022, the Post Board voted to bar prospective officers from belonging to or supporting white supremacist, hate, or extremist groups. This rule change is extremely important given rising concerns about white supremacist infiltration into law enforcement across the country. The killing of a community member at the hands of law enforcement leaves a scar on the whole community. But for the families of these stolen lives, the question comes down to how much justice can you afford? CUAPB members are in the streets shouting the names of the stolen lives. They are working through the night in the dim light of computer screens. They are standing with the families in press conferences and sitting with them in their living rooms. CUAPB will not stop until there are no more stolen lives. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Check out our CUAPB t-shirts and buttons at cuapb.org/store.